If you know only one thing about narcissists, it's that they lie. The old not-so-funny joke about narcissists is, how do you know a narcissist is lying? His lips are moving. It's a cliche at this point that yes, we all lie from time to time. We all tell the occasional little white lie to save face, or more importantly, to protect other people's feelings. But narcissists engage in what is called pathological lying, which is this repeated habit of lying with impunity and without remorse. I include false promises in narcissistic lying. Narcissists are famous for making false promises. In personal, romantic relationships, if the narcissist is a man, he may make false promises to his partner of money, wealth, and gift giving. For example, I can't wait to take you to Fiji for our honeymoon, and 7 years later, there's still no ring. Narcissists are supposedly also famous for this glib, superficial charm that can fool anyone, get anyone wrapped around their little finger and eating out of the palm of their hand. But narcissism is on a continuum, so not all narcissists are good liars. Some of them are so fake they make Kim Kardashian look like a natural beauty. It's like, right now this little performance that you're doing is straight to DVD. It's not off-Broadway, it's off-Broadway. You're not Robert De Niro, you're Robert Don't. Some narcissists are so skilled and so adept at lying that it is an Academy Award-winning, Oscar-worthy performance. Bitch is cold. It is amazing how this person can look you right in the eye and straight up lie to your face. In personal and romantic relationships, all the lying is a devastating betrayal. It's meant to confuse you, and it does. Narcissists typically prey on sensitives, people who are intuitive and empathic. If you are an empath, you know that this person is lying to you, and it's confusing. If you were raised by a narcissistic parent who constantly made false promises, it sets you up for a lifetime of disappointment. You spend your life waiting for the other shoe to drop, awfulizing and catastrophizing, and expecting glass half empty, worst case scenario situations. Workplace bullying is a form of narcissistic abuse. So workplace bullies are narcissists, or at the very least have narcissistic tendencies. Do workplace bullies lie? Is the sky blue? Workplace bullies lie and make false promises, but when I'm talking about lying in the workplace, I'm not talking about the lies that are told to you, but the lies that are told about you. Narcissists lie and they also smear. And when workplace bullies lie about you, that is the narcissistic smear campaign. The narcissistic smear campaign is a byproduct of the workplace bullying technique of gossip, but it's different because not all gossip is lying. Some of the gossip is true. Workplace bullies as narcissists are effectively dead, empty souls with no real internal lives or selves, and thus are 100% externally focused, and not only obsessed with, but also addicted to the target, who is their source of narcissistic supply. Narcissists are not exactly well known for discernment or even self-restraint. So workplace bullies and their all-consuming cataclysmic emptiness will gossip about anything because they have nothing else to talk about. You're wearing a blue shirt one day, that's 5 hours of gossip right there. You're wearing brown shoes the next day, another 5 hours of gossip. While it is disturbing that adults would waste that much time and energy on what you're wearing and what you're eating, when the gossip becomes lying, then it becomes dangerous. How do you know workplace bullies are lying about you? The same way you know they're gossiping about you. They let you know. It comes up in conversations, in abusive, aggressive, invasive, violating lines of questioning that feel like harassment or interrogating, in mean-spirited, petty, passive-aggressive insults and put-downs, in mind games, A workplace bully may emerge from a bitch fest and stare at you with a smile on her face because she has just gleaned a particularly juicy rumor about you. And some workplace bullies are artless and unsophisticated and straight up tell you to your face what the lies are. But you're really going to find out what the lies are when you hear them from the higher ups. The narcissistic smear campaign is very much part of the war phase of the elimination phase of workplace bullying. And the lies are the ammunition that workplace bullies use against you to get rid of you by getting you fired. And they will stop at nothing, even lying. There are no links they will not go to, up to and even including fabricating and falsifying legal documents as part of your employment record that can be used in a court of law. Because you are aware and observant, you may have suspicion that workplace bullies are lying about you, but that suspicion will be confirmed when managers, bosses, and supervisors haul you in for a verbal and even written warning. As for the nature of the lies that are spread about you throughout the workplace, if they are intended for the higher-ups to be used as grounds for your dismissal, at that point they are no longer about what you're wearing, what you're eating, or who you're sleeping with. Although I argue that workplace bullying has nothing to do with the work, workplace bullies have to make it sound as though it is about the work. So the lies are about the quality of your work or the way you work, your work ethic, your bedside manner. When you hear the lies, be prepared for a litany of outrageous false accusations that is so shocking and crazy-making, it will make your head explode like a scene out of The Exorcist. You absolutely cannot believe the crap that these people come up with. I have been called every name in the book, and that was only what I heard directly to my face. To my knowledge, I've never been accused of murder, but I wouldn't put it past anyone who's ever bullied me. Where does all this stuff come from? Well, it's easy to understand if you understand the basic psychological concept of projection. Workplace bullies are master projectors, and if you are a target of workplace bullying for some reason, it is particularly easy to project onto you. It could be that you're different, or it could be that you're an empath, which is like a sponge that absorbs. Whatever it is, learn to take every word out of the bullies' mouths and turn it around as a projection of how they really feel about themselves. I don't like to do black and white thinking, but unfortunately on the earth plane there happens to be a lot of duality. And in this life we all have two choices. We can project or we can heal. I'll let you guess which one workplace bullies have chosen. Workplace bullies as narcissists have to project everything they cannot heal, which is everything. Above all, workplace bullies project their own intent. Because narcissists occupy the reptilian child brain, they live in this really dark, ugly, brutish, dog-eat-dog world of raw survival, where it's all about, I have to fuck you before you have a chance to fuck me. And that's workplace bullying in a nutshell. I have to hurt you before you have a chance to hurt me. If you're like me, it is never your intent to hurt anyone. Your intent is very simple. It is to give and receive love. And in the workplace, it is to be paid what you deserve for the meaningful and rewarding work that you do. Workplace bullies are the ones who run around the office all day long trying to get other people fired, so they assume that you are the same. Let's bypass clinical terms and just call a spade and call it what it is. This is good old-fashioned hypocrisy. A workplace bully accuses you of being late when she is the one who is 15 minutes late to the meeting that she organized because she forgot the key to her own office. Workplace bullies accuse you of not working. Meanwhile, they consistently refuse to do the only work that matters in this lifetime or any other, which is the inner work that we do on ourselves. Workplace bullies accuse you of not being on task, while they spend hours for months running around on company time and company pay, orchestrating a massive narcissistic smear campaign of gossip to get rid of you. Workplace bullies accuse you of doing something personal that is not work-related, while they cannot shut up about your physical body and cannot stop objectifying you when you do not work in entertainment but work instead in an intellectual profession. Workplace bullies accuse you of not being friendly, of being stuck up, standoffish, a snob who thinks that she's better than everyone else, when they're the ones who have consistently, privately been snubbing you the whole time. Workplace bullies accuse you of doing everything for attention when they cannot stop harassing and bullying you and everyone in a 10-mile radius with behavior that is not attention-seeking, but instead attention-demanding. Workplace bullies as narcissists do not take no for an answer and refuse to be ignored. The intent of the narcissistic smear campaign is to make you look like the bad guy, and it is to crucify you before you have a chance to expose them. And the risk of exposure is particularly threatening if you are an empath. In personal and romantic relationships, the narcissist will accuse you of cheating and demand access to your phone when the narcissist is the one who is cheating. Narcissists in personal and romantic relationships ultimately accuse their own partners of being narcissists. And in the workplace bullies ultimately accuse you of being the bully. The problem with the narcissistic smear campaign is that there can be an element of truth to it, but it's like a game of telephone. By the time it has been ground through the gossip mill and fed down the factory conveyor belt, it has become highly distorted. The primary ethic of journalism is truth. In medicine, it's cure. In law, it's justice. In journalism, it's truth. But journalists need to understand the difference between truth and accuracy. If Donald Trump says Barack Obama is gay, I can print Donald Trump says Barack Obama is gay. That's accurate, but is it truthful? Workplace bullies blow things out of proportion. Were you late? Yes, you were. Everyone's late to the workplace from time to time, including the bullies themselves, but perhaps you had a car accident or were visiting someone in the hospital. Were you doing something not work-related? Yes, you were, but you still managed to get your work done well and on time. Did you snub the bullies? Yes, you did. That was months after being bullied. When you are having a perfectly normal, natural, human response to being bullied and very much giving the bullies exactly what they want, which is to emotionally shut down. In the movie Doubt, the character played by Philip Seymour Hoffman tells a story about a priest counseling a woman about gossip. He instructs her to go to the top of her building and stick a knife in a feather pillow. She does and returns to the priest, who then tells her to go pick up every feather, which she admits is impossible. She doesn't know where they went. The wind blew them everywhere, and that's a metaphor for gossip. The narcissistic smear campaign spreads lies through the workplace faster than coronavirus spreads through a nursing home. Do the people in the workplace, the bystanders to workplace bullying, and the potential flying monkeys and little minions of the narcissistic workplace bullies believe the lies? Long story short, absolutely yes they do, for two reasons. The first is repetition. That's a trick advertisers and attorneys know very well. If a television commercial uses the term fuel efficient 1,000,000 times to describe a gas-guzzling SUV, you believe it even when you're paying $100 at the pump. People believe the lies because they are repeated, and people believe the lies because people are stupid. The OG flying monkey is Judas Iscariot, who betrayed Jesus with a kiss. And I'm not comparing the targets of workplace bullying to Jesus, but bear with me. The Bible is open to interpretation, so there are different theories about why Judas betrayed his friend. Was it because of a bribe? Some people say that wasn't enough money. Some people say Judas was possessed by Satan. And other people think that Judas was straight up stupid. These are people who are spiritually, morally, and intellectually lazy. They don't like to think. I don't like to do black and white thinking because adult human psychology is not black and white. It's subtle and nuanced and interesting in all of its infinite, intricate complexity. But if we're going to do black and white thinking, these are people who do not like to get their heads around the intellectual hard work of trying to understand someone who is flawed and different but still human. In other words, these are people who would rather hate than understand. Why do workplace bullies lie so much? They're narcissists. That's what narcissists do. They lie. A narcissist is a lie. A narcissist is at the core a dead and empty soul with no real internal life or self. That real self has been substituted by the fake false self, the narcissistic ego, which is all the narcissist has. The narcissistic ego is whatever the narcissist believes to be true about himself and demands that you believe as well. Narcissists have been lying to themselves and to everyone about themselves their entire lives. Lying is second nature to them. The biggest lie told about you is that you are the narcissist and you are the bully, and they believe that one too. A cliche excuse is that you remind the bully of someone who hurt him. The biggest thing that narcissistic workplace bullies project is their original trauma and their original wounding. If workplace bullies, as narcissists, fear exposure and are trying to conceal their secrets, they're not doing a very good job. A bully is very clearly a very damaged person. They really lay all their cards on the table and expose themselves with their bad behavior. When you look at workplace bullies, all you can see is their dysfunctional childhood families of origin, their incest, molestation, sexual, physical, verbal, psychological, emotional abuse, abandonment, and neglect. You can see it because it's all there on the surface because they haven't healed it. Because narcissists cannot heal. They can only project. The damage was done decades before you came onto the scene or entered the picture. But here you are standing right there in front of them. So they're just going to go with that. Workplace bullies really believe that you are the one who hurt them. Workplace bullies as narcissists are trapped in the matrix. They live in this 3D, earthly, mundane, physical, material reality where they experience life exclusively through the five senses and are not capable of creativity, imagination, fantasy, or even abstract thought. And in their sheer and utter literal mindedness, even though there may be nothing maternal or paternal about you, when they look at you, all they see is the mother or the father who abused them. And it gets real old real fast. It's like, bitch, I'm not your mother. Lying in the workplace hurts because it hurts to be misunderstood, especially when you've spent months and even years bending over backward trying to be understood. Being communicative, expressive, talkative, loud, open, vulnerable, exposing all of your weird quirks and zany eccentricities and idiosyncrasies in a calculated effort to appease, mollify, and pacify other people's fear of the unknown by showing them who you really are. But they say that if you feel misunderstood, you might be misrepresenting yourself. Do you really understand yourself? I have a theory that most targets of workplace bullying are empaths, or at the very least, highly sensitive people. And if you are a target of workplace bullying, I think it's a pretty fair assessment that you're also codependent. Empath and codependent, it's not the same thing. There is some overlap, and both can be products of childhood abuse. Don't get me wrong, many empaths are born with the gift that they inherit naturally through the maternal line. It's like male pattern baldness. And that is not some misandrist statement that I'm making on my part, because there are very many beautifully intuitive men. But many empaths were abused children who learned to read other people remotely in order to protect themselves. The empath is the abused child who puts up her antenna, her porcupine quills or tines, and keeps them in the other room, tracking the abuser so she can know where the next hit is coming from. That is how the empath is created. The codependent is the proverbial parent who lives vicariously through her children and completely neglects herself. Whether it's empath, codependent, or borderline, all happen to struggle with identity. because they are focused on other people, as are narcissists. Melanie Tanya Evans has stated that codependent and narcissists, it's two sides to the same coin. One of us took the red pill and the other took the blue pill. It's just that one is a giver and the other is a taker. And she adds that the difference between the codependent and the narcissist is that the codependent can heal, the narcissist can't. The cure for all abuse is not to focus on the abuser, but to focus on ourselves. I'm not saying that the life, soul, mission, and purpose of every human being is to cultivate a sense of self and identity. You could be doing other things. You could be accumulating wealth. You could be a parent. You could be a social justice warrior. But if you're like me and you get projected onto this much, it might behoove you to go within. The unexamined life is not worth living is a quote attributed to Socrates, and the first edict of Greek philosophy is know thyself. So maybe it's time to go on a journey and path of self-discovery. So do your astrology, do your numerology, do your Enneagram, do your Myers-Briggs. This is what J.D. Salinger called ballast. This is your security. So when they come at you with the smear campaign and the lying, you can say at the very least to yourself, no, I'm not, because you know your own intent. And if there are only two entities in this universe who know the truth about you, and that is God and you, then so be it. Workplace bullies are pathological liars and hypocrites, and so are you. So let's talk about your own hypocrisy. I'm a Libra riser, so I'm all about balance, and I live in an ostensibly egalitarian society where it's all about fairness and equality. So let's be fair. You don't like being misunderstood, judged, and disliked, all while you don't understand or like any of these people, and you're judging them. Is it fair to demand understanding from people that you don't really understand yourself? Narcissists are so wildly irrational that they defy all logic and can't be understood. And do you really want to know what has to happen to a person that they get that sick? I'm a Libra riser, so I'm also horrifically judgmental. I'm aware of it. And I'm a borderline. In fact, I wear it like a badge. My borderline is large and in charge. She is loud and proud, sister, so nobody demonizes better than I do. If you're like me, when people judge you, you probably judge them right back. You may judge them so severely you don't consider them human beings at all. You've called them bullies and narcissists and probably every name in the book, just not out loud. If they are going to so consistently dehumanize you with objectification, it's like two can play that game right back at you, and you dehumanize them in return. Is it fair to be hurt that people don't like you when you don't really like them either? It's like, bitch, let me tell you what I think of you. It is maddening to be lied about, but the worst lies are the lies that we tell to ourselves. If we are going to stand against lying and for honesty and commit to a life, soul, mission, and purpose of personal growth, self-development, of introspection, of doing the inner work, going within, reflecting, meditating, cultivating and creating a solid and secure sense of self and identity, then we have to be honest and confront ourselves on our own judgment. So that's an introduction to the workplace bullying technique of lying, otherwise known as the narcissistic smear campaign. To read more in detail, I've written an essay on workplace bullying. It's on my website. I include that link in the description. The reason I create this video series is to establish a forum where targets of workplace bullying can share their experiences and stories in a kind of support group, so you can know, number one, you're not crazy. Workplace bullying is real and your feelings are perfectly valid and justified. And number two, you're not alone. Unfortunately, countless others have experienced the same thing. So I look forward to reading your comments, and I promise to try to respond to each one. Take care.